Hey everyone, Void Ranger here, coming at you with the review for the Deluxe Delta Squad Megazord from Power Rangers SPD. This one is probably one of my favorite Megazord designs. I'm not incredibly familiar with SPD. It's in that weird period where I wasn't able to watch a lot of Power Ranger stuff, and with it being on Disney and not having on cable, or having cable, it was kind of hard to catch it on ABC Family where it was airing here. But I always kind of admired the designs from afar. I really like the Zords from that season, and the costumes, like the suit designs. So I kind of have a weird like bystander's love for that season. And eventually, during my rewatch, when I get to it, I have a feeling I'm going to at least enjoy the aesthetics. But I wanted to start with this this review before I did any of the other SPD Zords. Try to keep it in some kind of order. But you've got your Delta runners here. For those not familiar with them or that season, there's red, blue, green, yellow, pink, or white disguised as pink. But in this case, it's white disguised as a lot of these Zords. As far as them individually, I actually don't like them a whole bunch on their own. I think they look better combined together. But they're not awful. I've seen worse things. But they are the Delta Runners. They do that Delta Runner 1, Delta Runner 2 kind of naming convention. But we'll start with number 1, which is Delta Runner 1. He's pretty simple. He's the police car of the bunch, considering that this is a police-based show. He's got wheels, and he definitely rolls around, does some kind of stuff, crashes into his friends, you know, just what you do. What's cool about this set is that they all kind of have, in their own ways, something to offer to the Megazord. Whether, you know, it's their individual pieces or how the weapons form. If that doesn't make sense, I'm sorry, I don't know how to word it. But they have some kind of playability built in besides just rolling. Like this guy, for instance, his back panels fold up and he has claws that come out that he can use to grapple the bad guys or what have you. So that's kind of neat. Adds a little bit of playability if a kid was playing with this. But Red also holds another secret. This unit has lights and sounds, this toy. So, not a huge fan of lights and sounds, as you know, but we'll turn that on. And so I'll do it again just to drive myself crazy. And you can see it lighting up there. That also comes into play when you're forming the Megazord, but for right now, I'm going to turn it off because it does give you this like battery warning that it's still on by beeping. So that's actually kind of nice, so you don't just leave it running. But it'll drive me crazy if it's happening when I'm talking. So we'll move him off to the side. This is blue. Obviously, it's blue and white. And he is some kind of hovercraft. He's got laser guns or cannons molded in. They're not actually movable or posable or anything. But they're there. It's kind of weird, but whatever. I think this one looks... They all kind of have this stylized comic book look to me, which I don't hate, but I think it works better in the case of red and blue, and in the case of yellow to an extent. This one does have landing gear. These don't fold up, but this one does for the transformation, which is neat. I should also fold the wings up because it needs wings. So there's those, and it's neat. You see this piece here, that actually becomes a weapon-ish thing in the Megazord form. I'm going to leave it on for now, but it becomes handcuffs. And that's something I like about this set, is all the weapons are built into each unit, so like you don't have to worry about losing them in theory if you take care of it. So he does roll around and crashes into things. I mean, you could pretend he's slime, but you could do that with anybody. But on his own, it's pretty simple. like I said, we will touch on the handcuffs when we're transforming him. So next is the truck. This is Green's Zord. He's a trailer, I guess, to transport prisoners and that kind of thing. He's kind of funny looking. I don't like this huge empty gap here, but that's to facilitate transformation, I guess. He doesn't do much on his own aside from roll, but his gimmick is that he stores the weapon. So you can pop this compartment out, and on this side you can see there's the sword, the blade for it. You can push it all the way out, but I like how you can push it out on either side, and like boom, there's the Judgment Blaster. And if you want to do it like the show, well, you can pop it all the way out like I just did, or you can kind of, I vaguely remember seeing something where they did this and you can pop his gun in. I'm not really, it doesn't have a really good secure mechanism. It's also hard to do when I'm trying to like keep him centered in the camera, but there's a little spot in there you can do, like put this up and the blaster will sit there and it can fire at the enemies. So it's kind of neat. Let's see. You can, I'll try and see, you can take that out and you can see the little peg holes for it. So it just goes in right there and it kind of leans back, letting you fire. And then when you're done with it, it fits very nicely back into that compartment, and then you can close it up. And I like that because if you didn't want to display it with the weapons or anything, you didn't have to. So next is yellow. It's an armored car of some sort. It's very, very simple. It rolls, not really on this plastic like poster board material I'm working with, but it does, the wheels do work. It's very simple again, but it looks all right. Not very yellow, mostly white. And then you can raise this up, which becomes the hilt for the sword. And it, I believe it was some sort of light in the show. So you can pretend that's shooting light and that kind of thing. But 4 is very basic. So there you go, 4. 5 is my least favorite of the looks. One, because you guys know I like pink, and this really like has less color on it than yellow did. And it kind of looks like an ambulance, even though that's not what they're going for. It's kind of like a sign display, which I guess is something they have with police force in Japan. I'm not super familiar with it, so please do not quote me on that. But in the American version, this piece comes up, but they didn't give us any of the signs. However, I have some of the signs. Actually, I have them all. It's pretty firmly stuck in there because this is the Japanese one, and this was the sign I liked the most, so I left it in there. And I have the other signs put up in storage. So if you're using the American one, this will be empty, and there's like little plastic behind there you can see. The slot is still there, so you could, in theory, print something out and put them in. But I don't know why they thought the cardboard with a little bit of inkjet printer ink would be too expensive to give to Americans, because it kind of, I mean, it doesn't add a lot, but it helps complete this very basic car. So that's it for them as individual pieces. Let's transform them. So I like to start with the legs in general, and it's pretty easy. My least favorite leg transformation is the ones that do that, but it's done. Blue is a little bit more complicated, which isn't much, but it's better than just one step. But you fold the wings down, you fold the landing gear in. It's a very satisfying click there. I don't know if my joints are just super tight or what, but then you snap those together and you have 2 legs, or 2 feet, feet. Red is right here. He's pretty easy to transform as well. For some reason, sometimes though, he like confuses me and I don't know why. But he's kind of got a neat transformation, but you'll see right here, these are the pegs for the connection for the feet. Whoops, we don't want to break you into yet. But you just push back here and rotate these around. And they're clear here because there's lights. And when they go into the legs, it transfers the lights through that through those transparent plastic pieces. So that's kind of neat. Oh, I guess I should turn the sound back on because this, when you connect them, it makes clanging sounds like a Megazord is forming. So let's see. So you can probably hear that. I don't know how weak the batteries are though, so it might not be very loud. And I haven't changed the batteries in this in a while. So you can do these in either order. I just do whatever, but pink is pretty simple. Kind of like the foot transformation. It's very, whoops, one and done. You rotate that out and you connect it. And I guess it's impact. So yeah, I can just slap it. And it did the battery thing too. Yellow's a little weird though, because you would think it would be just like pink, but because this piece comes out here and forms the hilt of the sword, you actually have to remove it to flip out the hand, like so. And you could leave it off if you're going to use the sword, but just for now, I'm going to put that back in and then connect him. So, then of course you want a head. And you just pull this back. And you don't rotate him all the way around like I did. It takes a little more finesse than that. But you can hear all that noise. But this just connects right back here on these little pegs, which I don't know if you'll be able to see, but boom. Oh no. I have noticed that my red is a little weak. He doesn't like to stay in place. Now the funny thing is with this is, I guess he's 80% Japanese, because when I received this in the mail, my Japanese one, the little fin here on his ear had gotten caught one too many times in this piece when it was folding back, and it had ripped out. So this one is actually an American red, and I just happened to notice that these fins had SPD painted on them in Japan, but not in the American ones, or not on the American ones. So that's an American toy mixed in with the Japanese ones, but they're the same. You can use them, all that kind of stuff. Oh no, see what I mean? It like pops off. I don't know if that's common for this toy line in general, but it's oh, I hit the screen and it started focusing on something else. It's a little weak, which doesn't really come into play here, but when you're connecting them with the Omega Max cycle, or combining them into the Omega, what is it? The Delta Max Megazord? Wow. Sometimes his joints are a little weak, so. But there he is in all his very short glory. He is a tiny boy. But that is the Delta Squad Megazord. Now, I'm going to show you the weapons, and then I'll show you the lights and sound while he beeps at me eternally. But you just pull these out here. You don't have to take the whole case out. It's just easier because I'm on camera. But we'll put them back in. And then to form the sword, like I said, you remove Yellow's little piece here. Jesus, he's moody tonight. But you've got this piece. You've got the sword, presumably. You split it. And then just connect it right there. And then rotate the hilt down. And there you go. Though I guess you should do it like this so you could actually, you know, hit him with the sword. You know, sword physics are important. So it's got that, and then I guess it doesn't matter what hand you put it in, but the Judgment Blaster goes there. I think it's called the, no, it's the Delta Blaster, the Delta Sword, and then it does, they had the Judgment thing. I don't remember what it was called now. Huh. Where they would scan the enemy and see if they were guilty or not. So, and the last weapon, like I said with the with blue here, is that you can pop off the little, I don't know what they would be called, but the little gyros, and you get these two pieces, and you can make cuffs, which is kind of neat, you know. I mean, it's kind of weird, but it's also kind of neat. But you flip that piece here and then connect them there, and then obviously you can't hold 3 things at once because that would be dangerous. But boom, you've got his handcuffs. So I'm going to step away for a second and turn the lights down just so I can show you what this looks like if you weren't in a super bright room. And I will be right back. Alright, so you push the button and here we go. And I mean, the camera doesn't focus very well in this low light condition, but that's pretty neat. I mean, I'm not a huge light and sounds kind of person, as I've told you multiple times, but I do like how the lights, yeah, it's very simple, it gets the job done, and I like how it looks. So yeah, that's it. I think this is a really good toy to find. I love how it looks when it's all together. I'm not usually a huge fan of white and the colors mixed in together like this, but I think it works in Megazord form. He can be a little pricey, especially if you find him complete, but I think he's definitely worth the purchase. But yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to check out my social media linked in the description below. Make sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.